Welcome to Voices of Rise, the podcast that shines a spotlight on the women who are leading the future and shaping real change. These are honest conversations about leadership, resilience, and what it truly takes to rise. Get ready for powerful insight, bold perspectives, and voices you need to hear. Women who aren't just talking about change, but making a dent in the universe. Welcome to the Voices of Rise podcast, Rebecca.
Thank you, Nicola. So nice to see you.
It's lovely to have you as our very first guest.
Yes.
And what are you actually doing at the Rise conference today?
So it's my second time here. I was on a panel last time and I exhibited, and I'm exhibiting again. Really good opportunity to meet everybody. Prime spot as you walk in. So I get to meet all of the guests coming to see the conference.
Yeah, what do you think of the Rise conference?
It's fab. Do you know what? I think it's getting better and better each year. This is a fabulous new edition. And there's wonderful people that come from all over the UK and further afield. So it's a really great opportunity to meet lots of new faces, but also I've already seen people that I met last year, which is really nice.
Oh, fantastic. And it's interesting that you're at a leadership conference because basically that's what you do for a living, isn't it?
That's
you
right.
help leaders as a leadership coach.
Yeah.
How did you get into that business?
Well, I've worked within learning development for too many years to mention. So I've always been supporting people with their communication skills, with their leadership skills. And then I set up my business. It's 15 years in September this year, actually.
You call the business after yourself, Rebecca
Yeah.
Wray Consulting. So tell us what you do on a day-to-day basis.
So we're helping accidental managers, what we call accidental managers. So people that perhaps have been trained as a lawyer or a graphic designer or a teacher, they then, their employers in their wisdom think, boom, you'd be a brilliant manager. And they give them all of these people to lead. But of course, no support to actually do that. So they become what we call these accidental managers. They've got their qualifications to do their technical aspect of their job, but they don't know, quite rightly, how to lead people. And I think it's probably one of the hardest things to do. So we help those leaders feel more confident and more competent in what they do, give them the skills to be able to lead people in the way that people want to be led. And I think there's a lot of perhaps misconceptions around, I think I should lead this person how I'd like to be led. But actually, we really help leaders understand that. And it's tricky, but everybody wants something different. They want a different style, a different way of communicating. So we just kind of unlock that knowledge for people, really.
That's a really interesting point, actually, around leadership, because it is a skill in itself, and it's not just something you instantly have.
No.
I mean, what do you think are the key qualities of a good leader?
Really interesting. I think some of the best leaders that I've worked with, the first thing is humility. So being able to understand their limits and surround themselves with people that are better than them. So almost the antithesis of perhaps some of the leaders we might see in the world of politics. Leaders in business that are doing, and we do lots of work in education, those leaders that are brilliant at what they do are constantly seeking for people with different ideas, looking for people who think differently to them, which prevents then that echo chamber of one way or my way or the highway. So I think that's one of the best qualities that I see in leaders. Also, emotional intelligence. So we do a lot of work in lots of different sectors. What I see often is that they can be very high intellect, so very high IQ, not always quite as high EQ, that emotional quotient, so that ability to understand the impact that we're having or be able to read the room. We've all perhaps made that mistake where we come in and crack a joke and we've not sensed the tension maybe in the room. And that's about that ability to read other people and adapt ourselves to match that.
So about making people feel understood.
Absolutely. Really listening. So rather than focusing on my message, what I speak to leaders a lot about is asking much better questions. Because again, no one leader has all of the answers. And that is back to that that humility, being able to recognise that other people may well have better ways forward. And the best leaders have that self-awareness to think, okay, I can actually use my strength and ability to get more from others. And that's, I suppose, one of the biggest learns that we take leaders on, that it's not about you doing it all anymore. Your job of a leader now is to get the most out of others. And that's really hard, actually.
It's not easy, is it?
No.
What is the biggest issue that people come to you with?
Probably holding on to things. So these accidental managers have got to where they want to be because they're brilliant at what they do. They're technically brilliant at what they do. They dot the I's, they cross the T's, they've held on to everything, they've perhaps been working into the night, and they've produced fabulous work. Then there becomes a kind of pivot point where they can no longer do that anymore because they're then responsible for teams of people, maybe other departments, and they can no longer hold on to it. And what we try and do is get to those people before they get to that pivoting point, because that potentially becomes very tricky to manage. We want to try and help leaders realise that if they equip and empower other people, you can achieve so much more.
And that's such a hard thing to do, isn't it? Because these people, they know their business inside out, they know what they do inside out, and that kind of letting go.
Yeah.
How do you help people to do that? How can people do that?
Well, I think you and I can probably share their pain. You know, business owners ourselves, it's absolutely hard to let go. And I sometimes catch myself thinking, no, that's something the team should and could be doing. So what we try and help people understand is there isn't just kind of two options of holding on to everything or letting go of everything. There's steps in between where you can reduce the amount of control that you have. And it's all about developing other people to be able to achieve what it is you need them to achieve. Because what often goes wrong is we think, oh, I have to let go. Boom, we let go of everything. And then it goes wrong. And then we scoop it all back up because we're scared, or perhaps there's been a risk, there's been damage to our reputation. That's all the stuff we don't want to happen. But we try and help leaders understand that you don't just have to let go of it all. There are baby steps that we can take, and we have to check in with people. If we've asked them to do something, we need to be really clear as to how we're delegating something. But also, let's check in, not check up. Let's check in more regularly and see how things are going before it all potentially goes wrong.
There is a process.
Yeah, definitely. And it can be quite an easy thing actually to adapt. And a lot of our work we do with leaders, either in one-to-one coaching or larger programs, that's probably a thing where people go away going, oh my goodness, why have I never thought about it? Because it's not rocket science really, but with just some time and space to think about, right, how am I distributing workload now and what's going wrong? And often I'll get leaders to think about, because they'll blame the colleague, the staff member, and actually I'll get them to think about, well, where did it go wrong? And it's often us as the leaders, we've not given that clarity.
Communication.
100%.
Communication is a big thing.
Huge.
What are the main mistakes with communication you would say that leaders make?
Yeah, I was just chatting with somebody outside about this actually. I think one of the biggest challenges leaders face is they expect people to behave just like them. So, for example, I'm more extroverted in my communication style, so I like to work things through outside of my head. I've got a problem, I'll go and find a colleague, a team member. Can I just talk to you about X, Y, and Z? One of my team members, Rob, he is much more introverted in his preference. He would prefer to work it through internally. Now, if we didn't understand each other, I'd be thinking, what's wrong with Rob? Why is he keeping it all to himself? Is he not interested? Is he not engaged? He also might be thinking, what's wrong with her? Why does she have to talk about everything all the time? Would she just pipe down? So there's lots of different nuances with regards to our communication. And we help leaders understand, first of all, themselves. So what are your preferences? What might the risk and rewards be to your communication style? Because no one communication style is perfect. We've all got to be aware of how we can come across. But then we also want leaders to understand what their teams need. Because as I mentioned earlier, they're looking for different styles from you. Some people want absolutely loads of detail. Some people just want bullet points. So we help leaders understand, first of all, how they may well come across, what their communication preferences are, but then also recognising that other people need you to dial up and dial down different aspects of their communication.
Do you think, Rebecca, that anyone can be a leader?
I think they can. I think it's harder for some people, but I think anybody can be a leader. There are aspects that can definitely be learnt. And I think when we've worked with people that are brand new leaders, just stepping into that leadership role, ideally, and I've got a client who's doing this at the moment, they put that support in really early. They help them understand the basics of, well, let's have a one-to-one with our teams. Because I remember the first time I became a manager and I was that accidental manager. There you go, there's your team. I'm looking behind me thinking, what do I do? I've no idea.
And how to behave, because you think,
course.
how friendly should I be?
What's the line?
What's the line?
Yeah. Should I be going out on the socials anymore? And that's something that comes up in the leadership programs for kind of lower level leaders. What do I do now? And we talk a lot about business friendships. You absolutely can and should build brilliant working relationships, because that's that oil in that work that you're going to do. If you've got a great relationship with your team, they will want to do things for you, but there is a line. And it's really, really important to explore that for yourself as to what that line is and how you want to behave.
It's tricky, isn't it?
It is.
How do you know?
If you cross the line, you know.
Yeah.
So the idea is trying to work out beforehand. So when we're doing one-to-one coaching, sometimes that's what some leaders will bring to us. I just want to reassess my relationships with my team. I'm not sure whether I'm approaching that line, what I want those relationships to look like, how I want to shift. So some of my leaders will only go to part of a social and then they'll leave their team to it. Some are very happy and very confident in themselves. So it really depends on the culture of the organisation. Some of my smaller businesses have quite different relationships to those larger corporates.
And do you help businesses and leaders to develop that healthy culture within their business?
Yeah, we start with the leader. Often we'll get asked to come in and work with the first line leaders, so the new leaders that are working, and we'll kind of consult with them and try and understand what it is they need. And the more conversations we have, we start looking to the top. Because actually we need those behaviours to be modelled from the top. So if we're wanting psychological safety, for example, in an organisation to have that better culture, well, is that being modelled at the top? Are those doors open? Are we able to have those open, transparent, challenging conversations or not? And sometimes we'll push back on that a little bit and try and get to the kind of source to really make sure that the organisation's doing deep change, because there's not a lot of point in doing surface level stuff.
Really, really interesting insights, Rebecca. What are your hopes for yourself as a leader and for the future of your business?
So we're just about to launch outdoor group coaching, which I'm really excited about. All of our branding is all about growth, nature. We love to take people outside. People learn differently when we're outside of what can be quite an oppressive environment sometimes at work. So in September, and we're doing some trials at the moment, we're taking groups of people outside and we're using the surroundings to prompt different thinking. And it's quite amazing how people look around and there's almost a deep exhale, and people all of a sudden start to think really differently and get really in tune with themselves. So we're going to be launching open groups where individuals can book in, but also we're going to be doing it for clients where we take teams out and they can work on a problem whilst walking side by side. And it's much better to be able to communicate walking side by side than sat facing in a boardroom, which can be a little bit scary. We're about to launch that in September, so we're really excited about it.
And it gives leaders that chance to zoom out from their business.
Absolutely. And we talk about time off the treadmill for our leaders. It's so busy, we're caught up, we're sucked into all of those tasks. And what they don't always take the time to do, and they'll always say there isn't any time, you've got to make it somehow. I get it's hard. You've got to take that time off the treadmill to look at the team, to look at the business as a whole. And only when leaders do that, we see some of those aha moments. They realise, oh gosh, this is something I really needed. And that was feedback I got on the last coaching walk, actually. They all said at the beginning, I didn't realise how much I needed that. They'd kind of let go of a load of tension, and they'd written so much as to what they wanted to do when they got back to the office. So that was brilliant.
It basically gave them clarity.
Absolutely,
that you just don't get when you... It's that difference, isn't it, between working in your business and working on your business.
Absolutely.
And to work on your business, you need to take a step back.
Yeah, and sometimes other people. So the outdoor coaching has people that you might not know. So they ask what we call perhaps those stupid questions. Why do you do it that way? And people think, do you know what? I've no idea. We've just always done it that way. Maybe we should think about that, you know? So using that coaching approach, we talk about being naturally nosy. So just ask those open questions. So it's a bit of a win-win. You're practicing coaching skills, which really empowers and equips other people to think for themselves. But also it's a skill you can take back yourself then and think, oh gosh, I need to ask more of these open questions to my team. It's really helpful.
It sounds like what you're providing as well, Rebecca, is very much a safe space as well.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, it can be quite lonely being the leader of a business.
That's the point. Yeah, 100%. There's few people you can talk to, isn't there, when you're a leader in a business, because perhaps the challenges you're facing are about the people around you. So it's not always appropriate, actually, to share some of those challenges internally. And that's often the case when we're brought in to be external coaches. At that senior level, you need that safe outlet to be able to explore the opportunities as well as the challenges in a really safe space. No judgment, completely objective. We've got no skin in the game. So people can be really radically candid. We leave, they don't need to see you for another 4 weeks. So there can be emotion, whatever comes out is all good. And then we go, and then they can crack on with their day. So for some people, it's a real kind of outlet to let some of that steam out and then really think about what it is they want to do differently.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Your insights have been really, really interesting today. Before you go, where can people find you? You're on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn. You'll find me on there almost daily. I'm on Instagram as well, Rebecca Coach Me, and Facebook as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
My pleasure.
The Voices of Rise podcast is sponsored and produced by Applehead Media.